Hello, my name is Susan Piver. I'm a writer and longtime practitioner and teacher of Buddhism. I've come to see that many people think of Buddhism and meditation practices associated with it, like mindfulness, as ways to reduce stress. But I would like to tell you that the Buddhist path is far more rich than that. It is a way to wake up, to become liberated from suffering. And forget about enlightenment, it's also a way to live your everyday life more fully and meaningfully. This podcast is to share with you classical Buddhist teachings that I have found enormously beneficial, and also to tell stories from my own life about how I applied and misapplied these teachings. And I do want to tell you from my more than 30 years of experience that the Dharma is real, and it provides an extraordinarily nuanced, profound, and pragmatic guidebook to living a life of wisdom, compassion, and courage. I don't know about you, but I will basically watch any documentary about cults. I'm not even sure why. Each cult story seems to have a very similar narrative arc. A person is looking for something. They find a source of wisdom that usually has some truth in it. They develop friendships. There's a dominating figure at the center of it all. There's a potent belief system, and everything that's not part of that belief system, that community, or approved of by that central figure is rejected. And the person finds themselves in a world created out of whole cloth. And their agency is removed. One could think, well, that would never happen to me. Can't they see that that's bullshit, or I'm smarter than that? But it could happen to you, and you might not see it's bullshit. And you're not smarter than that, if I may be so bold. I'm not anyway. It could happen to anyone. Perhaps part of the reason has something to do with boundaries. So in this episode, we're going to look at boundaries and their importance, especially in the realm of spiritual seeking. It also happens to be the fourth principle in my new book, Inexplicable Magic, Meditation for Mystics, that seeks to reframe meditation as something other than a life hack or a self-improvement technique, but as a central foundation of the spiritual journey altogether. Whatever your belief system is or is not, doesn't matter. Meditation speeds the journey. It's very powerful. It's very important. And it's really easy to miss the significance of meditation practice. And if you blink, you'll miss it. However, fortunately for us, and we're going to get back to boundaries in a moment, there are millennia of extraordinary masters who come back over and over to tell us, sit with your mind, examine your experience, wake up from the dream. This practice will help you. Now, parenthetically, in the Buddhist tradition that I was trained in, learning these lessons happens via 3 steps. And I'll mention them briefly. The first step in learning something that is actually transformational, and then, most important, sustaining what you have learned, is called ground. There needs to be a ground, a foundation, a first step on the journey. You need a context, a container, a system, some kind of clarity about how to get on the path. The next step is called path. Something starts to unfold. You learn things, you hit walls, you take 2 steps back, you deepen your understanding. You're on a journey. And the final and third step is called fruition. Something arises, something transforms, something real happens. The journey concludes in a particular way. So ground, path, and fruition. Now, a very simple example of ground, path, and fruition, because it doesn't have to be particularly high tone, is dinner, let's say. So the ground for dinner is you're hungry. If you're not hungry, you might still have dinner, but that's what opens the journey to dinner. And then the path is you make something, you order something, you get leftovers out of the refrigerator, you eat food. That's the path. And the fruition is you're satiated. You are no longer hungry. So ground, path, and fruition are a very useful way of breaking down basically anything from dinner to spiritual liberation from suffering for all time. Now, what does this have to do with cults and meditation and so on? Well, interestingly, before we dive more deeply into the conversation on boundaries, I want to posit that meditation, this practice of sitting somewhere and doing nothing, which is basically what's happening, there's a posture and there's a way to work with your mind, and there are many instructions involved in the technique. But basically, it sets up a situation where you do nothing. Somehow, from this doing of nothing, extraordinary consequences result. And I'm not making this up, y'all, but you can't take my word for it at the same time. However, generations of meditation masters have told us if you sit and do a real meditation practice, not a made up, jerry rigged something that a person made up 6 months ago, but something time tested and real and honed and polished and burnished, and you can trust it, the following things will happen, my friends. Your heart will open. You will soften. Compassion will be your first response to the circumstances of your life. The second thing that will happen is your mind will settle and become clear. Sometimes meditation is called the practice of clear seeing or the practice of insight. Now, again, if someone can explain how sitting there doing nothing creates clarity, you can have the podcast. I'll listen. But in the meantime, note that generations of masters have said, yes, my friends, this will happen. Your mind will become clear. And the third quality that is often commented on is you will become brave. You will become fearless. And this doesn't mean that you don't have fear. It means you're not afraid of your fear. You become powerful, authentic, genuine. These are the three qualities of the awakened mind. It is loving, clear, and powerful. Now back to ground, path, and fruition. In this journey of compassion and clarity and bravery and so on, meditation is the ground. It's where you start. It's the entry point. It opens the gate. However, it is also the path. It is what allows the journey to unfold. It is your friend along the way. It is the way. It doesn't lead to the way. It is the way. And finally, meditation is also the fruition in the sense that as you practice on the cushion or chair, whatever you sit on, placement of attention on something other than your thoughts, in this case, the breath, you have the ability to then place your attention on an object other than your thoughts while you're driving, when you're falling in love, when you're dying, when someone is mean to you and someone is kind to you, your attention remains engaged. So in this sense, the fruition of the whole thing is you are continually in some kind of state of meditative absorption, sometimes called samadhi. So meditation, I just want to say again, it's the ground. It's how you get in the door. It's the path. It continues to teach you. And I've been doing this for close to 35 years. And I want to tell you that that is the case for me too. And it is the fruition. It's where you're going. It's not just the origin point. It's the end point. So perhaps this is where we could remember the words of T.S. Eliot in his poem, Little Giddings. There are lines that say, and I may be paraphrasing, so forgive me, T.S. Eliot, and the end of all our journeying shall be to arrive at the place we started and know it for the first time. That is the best explanation of meditation practice, or among the best that I've ever heard. And it also expresses perfectly ground, path, and fruition. Now, what does this have to do with cults and boundaries? So in this very intimate journey, because it's always personal, the way it unfolds for you, your ground, your path, your fruition, they do not look like anyone else's. It's very, very intimate. And this may be one reason that it is so easy for anyone, including me or you, to become involved in a cult. It's a vulnerable journey, and it's a journey that deepens vulnerability. It does not end vulnerability, even though that's why many of us start practicing. I don't want to hurt so much. Well, it doesn't work that way. So back to the book and the principles and the meditation and the mystics and so on. The first principle was we engage in meditation as a ritual. We acknowledge that we're looking for something greater than our own wisdom. The second step was the personal you is not an obstacle. It is the way. We're not trying to turn off some ego switch. There is no such thing as far as I know. Rather, we're looking at our mind and our hearts and our feelings and our journey very precisely and courageously, I might add. No one can tell you how to do that. That's where the courage part comes in. The third principle was we recognize heartbreak because as the vulnerability deepens, hearts break open wider. And now we come to number 4. We are boundaried. We have boundaries. So again, it's an intimate journey. It's a personal journey. It happens within you. It's very easy to be taken advantage of. Because it's so delicate, we need boundaries. There's often an idea in spiritual circles that you should be open. Look, that's cool. Good to be open, but not to everything and not all the time. You are the boss of you. The real teacher, and may I have a drum roll, please, is your own wisdom mind. So again, to go back to Buddhist teachings, in groups of 3, there are 3 teachers that are available to you all the time. The first is called the outer teacher. I'm pretending to be one right now. So someone tells you something or teaches you something or explains something or opens a door for you. That's great. Thank you, outer teachers. You have changed my life. I have benefited enormously from teachers, personally. The second teacher is called the inner teacher. There's a wisdom within you that when the right outer teacher appears, the inner teacher wakes up and starts paying attention. And what this feels like often, to me in any case, is I'm listening to a Dharma talk, I'm reading a book about Buddhism, in my case, or the Enneagram, for that matter, any wisdom system that speaks to me. And the way I know I'm on the right track is when I read something or hear something, and my response is, I knew that. I just didn't know I knew it. That's the ding, ding, ding that we're looking for. That's the inner teacher going, okay, I'm here. And then the third teacher, mysteriously, is called the secret teacher, which I can't explain. It's a secret. Also, I don't understand it, but it has something to do with the nature of all phenomena is teaching you. Now, again, what does this have to do with meditation and boundaries and cults and so on? So the job of the outer teacher, this is very important, is to introduce you to the inner teacher. And the job of the inner teacher is to introduce you by some additionally mysterious means to the secret teacher. Now, where cults happen, parenthetically, in my observation, being not an expert, is the outer teacher does not introduce you to the inner teacher. The outer teacher locks the inner teacher in a closet and says, you're stupid, or who cares, or whatever. So we want to pay very close attention to our own wisdom, which can look like insight, it can look like intuition, it can look like, you tell me, you know, when you know something for real. And the more you start paying attention to such moments, the more awareness you have of the absence of such moments. So inner teacher, your own wisdom, your own brilliance, in order to awaken as fully as possible, requires boundaries. So it's not a good idea to be open all the time to everyone. You're on a very particular journey, and it needs to be safeguarded. And we need protection. To make this journey, you need protection. Again, cults can happen when someone seems to offer you protection of some kind. Well, they can't. We each have to build our own system of protection. And in Tibetan Buddhism, or actually it's probably more accurate to say in the Bön tradition, which predates Buddhism in Tibet, there are suggestions for how one creates protection, and I'm fixing to share them with you. There are 7 such suggestions, and they're sometimes called the 7 riches or 7 treasures of the universal monarch, which is a super fancy way of saying this is how you establish agency in your world. This is how you build boundaries. These are the things you need. They are riches and they protect you. So I'm going to add 2 to the 7, but I'll do that at the end. So the first source of protection in the system of the 7 treasures is traditionally called a queen because, patriarchy and so on. But we can call it a consort. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be married or partnered or in any kind of romantic relationship. It means there is someone or there are people who you can be intimate with, whether it's sexual intimacy or creative intimacy or the intimacy of a deep friendship. We need in our lives people who really see us, people to whom we can show ourselves. So we can recontextualize consort from life partner to beings or circumstances where we can really be ourselves. We need those. First, and maybe most important form of protection and support for being boundaried. Second treasure is called a minister. You need a minister. And what this means is a source of wisdom, someone who provides you with good counsel. Can be a parent, if you're really lucky, can be a teacher, it can be a friend, it can be a wisdom system, but we each need some guidance. Could be a therapist, could be a priest, someone who can give us wise counsel. The third treasure is called a general. This doesn't mean you have to go to war, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you need to lead a charge in your world, in your life, to get out of something difficult, to make your way into something that you long for, to defeat forces that are against your better interests. And in that case, you need a general, someone who will protect you. Could be something that will protect you. So maybe you have a home or a home life that as soon as you walk in the door, you're like, okay, I'm good. I feel safe here. I can rest here. Maybe you have a group of friends that look out for your better interests, people that have your back. Or maybe a part of a community, spiritual or otherwise, that strengthens you. And it doesn't have to even be people. In our world, meaning the modern, non-monastic world, money is a form of protection. If you don't have any, or you don't have enough, whatever that means, you're exposed. It's much harder for you to manage your world. I'm sure I don't have to explain why I say that, but money is a form of protection. It has spiritual value. And environment is also a form of protection, meaning the place where you are right now. Maybe you're in a car, maybe you're walking outside, maybe you're in your room, wherever you are. Is your environment welcoming to you? Is it tidy? Is it beautiful to you? That feels like protection. That feels like a layer of something good between you and wild forces. The fourth treasure of the 7 is called a horse. Now, you don't have to go out and get a horse, but here, horse is synonymous with life force, energy, vitality. In Tibetan Buddhism and the Bön tradition, and maybe other traditions too, I don't know, the horse is pictured as flying through the sky, a wind horse, some way to ride the energies that you encounter and remain elegant and beautiful and seated, even in a maelstrom. So we each need a source of vitality, whether it's having a good diet or exercising or engaging in things that make you feel alive. That is a very important protection to safeguard your vitality, your energy. Don't waste it, and don't spend it unwisely on doom scrolling, for example, or getting involved in arguments or conversations or fights where there's no chance of being heard. Energy just dissipates in such situations. So do what you can, do what you must to protect your energy. The fifth treasure is called the elephant. And here, elephant means, among other things, a sense of purpose. If you think of or imagine the walk of an elephant, it's slow, it's plodding, each step is heavy, it's purposeful. This may be the most potent protection right now. At least I think it is for me. It's incredibly easy and understandable to be very disheartened, frightened, angry, and so forth. Yeah, me too. Until I remember my purpose. I've been lucky. I have a sense of what that purpose is. I'm a Dharma teacher. And within that brief, my particular hope, mission, and so forth is to share Buddhist teachings in everyday language without losing an iota of depth. That's my gig. When I remember that that's what I'm doing, and I pull my gaze not away from the troubles of this world, but more deeply into the troubles of this world with the intention of bringing forth something of benefit that I can bring forth, I feel the walk of the elephant return to me. I feel motivated, and so on. The sixth of the seven treasures is called the wish-fulfilling jewel. Here, wish-fulfilling jewel means many things, among which are you know who you are, and therefore you can make skillful decisions about where to place your energy, who to be intimate with, whose counsel to accept, whose protection to request, and what gives you energy. Self-knowledge that is connected to the inner teacher, to your inner wisdom, to your inner knowing, is the wish-fulfilling jewel. Without it, we take others' words for truth without checking, because we don't know how to check. We fall for propaganda. We try to use other people's ways of doing things as our way. But when you know who you are, those difficulties, they never really go away, but they recede. That's the ultimate source of wealth, I would say. And then the seventh treasure is called the wheel, which means somehow all of these things, consort, minister, general, horse, elephant, and wish-fulfilling jewel, create a mandala, a circle of wisdom, a wheel that integrates each treasure with the other treasures. This is how you have boundaries. It's not about only knowing your triggers, which is very important, and deepening your insight into your own psychology, also very important. But the truer boundaries, I would say, come from the way we arrange our world. And the seven treasures are a roadmap for such an arrangement. So before we get to our podcast after party, I want to answer one of your questions. Thank you so much for sending questions to me. This is from Kyle. And the question is about his meditation practice. For the past few years, I have trouble feeling motivated to follow the technique closely. I rarely label thoughts as thinking, which is suggested in the technique. I can find my breath occasionally, but I honestly spend more time either just being in my body or seeing the space in front of me or just being lost in thought. My practice is very consistent, and I'd like to think I'm making progress, but I'm wondering if there are any signs of progress to look for as practice develops, since I'm clearly not getting any better at following the meditation technique. I'm laughing because it's a sweet, wonderful question, and I have had such a question myself. So to summarize, the question is, what am I doing when I'm sitting there? Because I know I'm supposed to be feeling my breath and letting go of thoughts by labeling them thinking, but really I'm just hanging out. Well, I would say it may feel that way, but that's not the total of what is happening. So what Kyle describes, I should be following my breath, but I'm thinking things and hanging out. Sure. Yeah, me too. I'm sitting there on the cushion. And again, I've been doing this, as mentioned, for close to 35 years. I'm like, oh, I want to show you for lunch. And why did I say that thing? And my back hurts. My toenail hurts. Maybe I have toenail cancer. What am I going to do when meditation's over? Is it over? Blah, 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 blah. It really does not seem as though anything spiritual is happening. And on one level, maybe it isn't. I mean, I've heard of people who have had great insights and Shakti and great energy surges and visions and so on. Not me. Never, not once. However, when I look back on my life since I began a meditation practice, I see that everything has changed. The place to look for signs of progress is not on the cushion. It's in your life. Are you more patient? Are you more kind? Are you more brave? Do insights come to you more readily? Do you see patterns in your life? Are you less triggered by things that would normally upset you? Do you cry more? Do you laugh more? Do you feel more? Are you more genuine? I would say yes to those things. That's where the progress is. Not while you're sitting, but in your other practice called your life or post-meditation practice. That's where we want to look for the progress. So Kyle and others, if you take a moment to reflect on the journey since your practice began, and Kyle says in his question, I'm pretty consistent. That's the key. 5 minutes a day for 7 days, better than an hour a week or going on a 10-day silent retreat. Okay, those are good things. But most important is, do you sit every day or most days as you are able and let go of efforting? Let go of trying to shape yourself into some other form, to just be with yourself as you think about all the things and try to come back to your breath and allow your experience to unfold and question its validity and then feel like, well, maybe something good is happening. All of that is par for the course, but none of that is an indication of progress. The indication is in your life. So please consider that. Thank you for the question, Kyle. And now to our podcast after party. And the track that I'm laughing because this track is so great and funny and important and powerful. And it's called Who Do You Love? From the great, influential, often overlooked, super quirky Bo Diddley. Hey, Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley was probably the first rocker. His guitar sound, his guitar shape, for one thing, I don't know, his guitar looked like a box. I think he built it himself. He rocked. He did not strum. He did not cradle. He did not seduce. He did not soothe. He rocked. And his influence on countless guitar players is inestimable. Now, one of the greatest things about Bo Diddley, among many, is what has come to be known as the Bo Diddley beat. Many, many, many songs use this beat. And Who Do You Love, which I'm going to play for you in a moment, doesn't necessarily have the Bo Diddley beat, but future versions of it did. And if you listen to Hey Bo Diddley, the song called Hey Bo Diddley, it's right there. There are countless artists who have written songs over top of the Bo Diddley beat, including the Everly Brothers, the Rolling Stones, The Who, the Stooges, David Bowie, The Clash, Bruce Springsteen, Dr. John, Lou Reed, the Kinks, and so on and so forth. And the beat itself is, well, it's mesmerizing. And I'm not a musician, so let me please remind you of that, but it has a very Afro-Caribbean flavor. I think in the early Bo Diddley bands, he had a maracas player. But there's just something so Afro-Caribbean about the Bo Diddley beat. When you hear it, you know it. Now, again, Who Do You Love does not have the Bo Diddley beat, even though it's a Bo Diddley song. But it's my favorite Bo Diddley song. And the lyrics are so cool. First, Bo Diddley said he based the song on Muddy Waters' Hoochie Coochie Man. And the chorus is, who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? And if you let your ears loose, you'll hear hoodoo, not who do you love, but who do you love? And there is a very hoodoo, voodoo, spooky, cool, dangerous vibe to this song, which starts out, I walk 47 miles of barbed wire. Now, what does that mean? Did Bo Diddley walk on barbed wire for 47 miles because he's a complete badass? Well, that's my interpretation. Next line. I'm laughing because it's so friggin' cool. I use a cobra snake for a necktie. That's how bad I am. I got a cobra wrapped around my neck. That's my damn necktie. I got a brand new house on the roadside made from rattlesnake hide. Got a brand new chimney made on top, made out of a human skull. So that's just how it starts. It's spooky. It's cool. Who do you love?
I walk 47 miles of barbed wire. I use a cobra snake for a necktie. I got a brand new house on the roadside, made from rattlesnake hide. I got a brand new chimney made on top, made out of a human skull. Now come on, take a little walk with me, Arlene, and tell me, who do you love? 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 Tombstone hand and a graveyard mine, just 22 and I don't mind dying. Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? I rode around the town, use a rattlesnake whip. Take it easy, Arlie, don't give me no lip. Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Sky was blue. Down the alley, ice wagon flew. Hit a bump and somebody screamed. You should have heard just what I seen. Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Who do you love? Arlene took me by my hand. She said, ooh, wee, bo, you know I understand.